Yeah, I get it. They said like you everyone go away from literally like people make it look.
I'm talking about two customers in one. I think you all realize that the kids aren't the only customer. We have an entire family that we're designing for. And it has many unique challenges and opportunities when you design for these two customers. We could call it even more. I always loved in Pixar DreamWorks, they designed for a 4-quadrant design of the child, the parents, the enthusiast of animation, and usually a fan or something of this property. And we designed for more than just one kid. So that's pretty much my talk. Please bear with me. I'm a designer first. I'm not a speaker. This is rare. My business partner at Club Penguin, Lane Merrifield, he's a fantastic speaker if you've seen him at different conferences. I tend to hide in the basement and design and tinker with ideas. So here he is. Oh, that's great. That's me. I matched my shirt to my slides. All right. I'm a designer first. I'm also currently the co-founder and chief creative officer of HyperHippo, located in Kelowna, British Columbia. That's near Vancouver, if you're wondering where that is. Club Penguin actually still is in Kelowna with, I think it's just over 300 people working there. 2 products to my name. The first one on the left. Started that one in my basement back in 2000. It was actually supposed to be a tactical strategy game where kids waged a large snowball war across the world, and that quickly changed into, no, I just want to dress up, have parties, and decorate my igloo. So in 2005, we changed the name to Club Penguin, partnered with Lane and Dave, and most of you know who and what Club Penguin is, so I don't need to go through that history. My latest product is Mech Mice. What is this? Well, it's a tactical strategy game. Back to the original idea, except of course not penguins. I'm with mice now. The joke, of course, is why mice? Well, I had to leave the Walt Disney Company to make a mouse game. So, 2 customers. My goal is to share a couple thoughts and ideas and opportunities to designing games for children and their families. I have 2 parts to my presentation here. The first one's just a bunch of stories from the past that I've learned about designing for these 2 customers. And the second part is ideas and thoughts that I've been pondering for the future, just design challenges that we as a community should be addressing and building for, because this is what these families are looking for. The challenge. Everybody knows the challenge. I've got 2 slides here just to confuse them. Here's the challenge. The challenge, of course, is we're creating a product where the person that purchases the product is not the player of the product. So, in the mind of a child, 1,000 gems is worth $1. It has no problem. The child has no problem. To a mom doesn't understand why 1,000 gems are worth $1, or for Club Penguin's instance, why is decorating your igloo or getting the latest costume at a party worth $5.95, or I think it's $7.95 now, a month, have value. And we as designers have to be able to communicate this challenge to both. Sadly, what ends up happening is we have our marketing meetings, we plan, we strategize, we come up with all these great things. And in the end, let's just admit it, the child nags mom for months on end. I usually apologize. How many people have kids that play Club Penguin? Okay, I'm sorry. I know for the first 3-4 months they ask you every single day, please buy a membership. And they just nag. That's not what we want, because that's not a positive experience for the parents. That's not bringing the family into this property. That's not engaging the whole group, because we have to think of it as 2 customers. The kid's happy, but mom's not happy because she got brought into it in a way that wasn't it's not the best way to sell something. Interestingly, a little side story. Club Penguin, we did a lot of research as to why a kid actually gets to become a member. And surprisingly, we thought it was all our effort to communicating to the child, you know, here's why you should become a member, here's how to tell your mom, here's great things to print out, here's material, here's all this stuff. In the end, we discovered it. Mom actually phones her friend, and if her friend had bought her kid an account, she buys her kid an account. And we're like, that is the most difficult. We still haven't figured it out, to be honest. To be completely honest. But it is just, it's an amazing challenge that we have to deal with. How do we communicate this to both parties? And of course, this leads to discovery. How did mom find your game? How did the kid find your game? And actually, I just went back up one. I had one extra note for this one. Yes, the moms, they read the mommy blogger sites, they talk to their friends, they make a decision if they're going to buy your game or not. Interestingly, mom and dad are not the only buyers of these games. They're not the only gatekeeper to the credit card, if you want to say. It's interesting how many grandparents will buy the game for the child, how many aunts and uncles will engage. I actually applaud Webkins a lot. I actually see, it was amazing to launch day and date with them. We almost launched with a week within each product is about a week apart. And we always were amazed that at birthday parties, kids would just get piles of Webkins. And we're like, oh wow, we get 1 month subscription, but they get 10 stuffies bought for $20 each. And I look today, like fast forward to the future, you look at Skylanders and you look at Disney Infinity, the same models are starting to happen. There's more ways to get these, to help these kids get into these properties. They don't have to just be the kid buying it, which is really rare. We do that through gift cards, a little bit of ideas with like, there's mainly it's gift cards. But the mom and dad trying to convince them to buy, but this whole idea now of tying it to toys, tying it to gifts, tying it to products, tying it to different ways to get into your product. Just some other opportunities that we still haven't even really explored. We haven't even, as an industry, we're still not looking back at vending machines and just dispersing codes. I imagine one day walking down Toys R Us an aisle, and there's an entire aisle of like plastic virtual items that you just pick off the shelf and pay 25 cents for or something, or a Coke machine. We just walk up and kids put in their $1 and out comes their membership in some game. We still haven't even looked at some other models for this stuff. We haven't tied trading cards to, well, we're starting to tie trading cards to a lot of our game products. We looked at comic books. We haven't considered candy yet. Just going and buying we used to, you know, I used to get your baseball cards with bubblegum, so why aren't virtual worlds on those bubblegum wrappers? So just some ideas that we still have to explore. Then we get to discovery. Like, how do kids even discover your game? And this is probably still one of the single greatest mysteries in our entire industry. There is no answer yet. We have some ideas. At Club Penguin, we have our #1 strategy. We call it the schoolyard. And I'm just a big fan of word of mouth and building tribes and getting people behind your product. And I'm going to share a little secret of Club Penguin. Nobody's allowed. This is all being recorded, isn't it? I'm going to get in trouble now. So the secret sauce, how does it actually work? How do the kids actually connect and share? And Club Penguin just grows incredibly rapidly. It was amazing. We learned anecdotally, but we would grow entirely by classroom. Just classroom. The heart of Club Penguin is actually, it's penguins, puffles, and parties. It's really what it's all about. Okay? And it's really the parties. The parties is the glue for the entire system. Every month there's a party. I don't know how many of you played it, but there's a party. It usually starts with the login screen. The login screen says, next month we're having a party. They just got over the Star Wars takeover party. They're doing a medieval party right now. Halloween's coming up. That's one of the biggest parties they have. And the kids start seeing the parties coming. Then the blogs, everything starts talking about the party. Eventually, the in-game newspaper, which we like to brag has more readers than the New York Times, starts to talk about the party. And what starts to happen is at the school, Kids talk all the time about, are you going? Are you attending? Are you going to be there? Are you going to get the rare items? Are you going to see the secrets there? And they get excited. And then what we're essentially doing is creating an event, something they're looking forward to, and something they can talk about. The day comes, the servers barely survive every single time. The load is enormous. The numbers are astronomical, how many kids log in that Saturday morning. We laugh at Nickelodeon and Disney and all the other the old traditional Saturday morning cartoons. We know they were all logged in. They're all playing. And they start to play. And then they start to discover that there's endless secrets. There's all this stuff we didn't even tell them about that we hid everywhere around this party. And that's the next piece of the magic. This is what I believe actually Minecraft has done an absolutely fantastic job doing. Minecraft kids just get in. My kids, the younger kids, the 7-year-old and the 9-year-old, they're not surfing the internet that much. So what happens is they're on the schoolyard and all their friends are saying, did you mix this and that? Did you find this mineral and that mineral? Did you put it in this pattern? It unlocks this, and they run home after school and they must play and they have to use this discovery. It's all about these little secrets that you litter all over your environment to make these things happen. It's something for the kids to share. They have to have things to share, or it just doesn't work. So Club Penguin goes on, the party continues, it goes on for about a week to 2 weeks. Now the next piece of the magic event happens. We take the party away. It's gone forever. We did all this work. Spent way too much money, too much staff, a lot of time, a lot of art, got the license to Star Wars and everything, and then pull it away. It's gone. Now that's very, very important, because now when the party's gone, all these kids that were able to attend this party have this memory, have this unique event that they shared with their friends, and they all talk about it. Were you there? What did you think of? Oh, too bad you missed it. I'm part of the special group that was able to play this party. And then they reminisce, they write blogs, they rant about how next year's one's not as good as last year's. It goes on and on. But it starts that discussion, it gets that connection, it creates this moment for the kids to connect at school. So, part 2, as a designer. I'm just going to talk about just some thoughts. What am I doing? Go on fast. Some just ideas. These are the things I've been pondering. These are the things that keep me up at night. These are things that, even while I was building Club Penguin, I'm always in my basement or climbing a mountain or hiking, or everybody knows that I'm never in the office. So, but I'm always considering things. It's just some ideas when you're building your game. We need to respect both the kids and the family's time. It's amazing. I'm always amazed by how many designers and how many games don't do this. They don't realize that kids actually don't have control over their time. They are in school, they come home, they have homework, they have chores, they have soccer, baseball, football, practice, driving here, there, everywhere. And even if they get time on their devices or screens, which there's different reports. I've heard earlier this morning it was like 30 minutes or something. Yesterday I heard something like 7 hours. I was like, wow. But at the end, they don't actually control it. So we need to respect that. What I mean by that is when your game demands, come back every day or you miss something. I've had my son actually crying. He's 9 years old. He has to collect one item every day for 5 days, and if he misses his item, he doesn't get the master item. And he's crying because he's like, he cannot guarantee he'll be back in 12 hours to pick up the next item. We have to be very careful with that with our children. We have to remember that they don't actually control their time. We have to design our games with that respect, that they can come back whenever they want. Shared screens. Let's just be honest. Mom and Dad are not excited to buy every single child in their house an iPad or an Xbox for each one. So they share all their screens. This becomes really important in your design. Consider profiles. Consider save games. Consider how one child wants to be able to save what they've created in their little box, and then how their next child wants to create something and share. But then consider how these profiles should also be able to connect. Some of the kids want to play off each other's profiles. I'm actually it drove me crazy at Club Penguin. I see it in my oldest son, he's 11 right now, he's absolutely obsessed with Tanky Online, which is like the kid version of World of Tanks. And all the kids at school share their passwords and share their usernames, which we all don't want them to do, but they do it. And they're all trying to grind and level each other's tanks up to the maximum, because whoever's got the most time today, back to respecting time, they figure out which kid in the class, oh, you get 4 hours of gameplay a day? Can you play my tank for an hour? And they all do it, they all grind it up. But it's all about sharing. They have to share this one device. How do they keep their profile? If mom's out on a, running errands and Billy's in the back of the van and she hands him her iPhone, can he continue his game from where he was on an iPad versus where he was on a browser, from where he was? He doesn't control what device he gets right now. So it's very important. Kids play together. This was actually, I mean, we just said this, but I laugh. You go into the average household and you watch these kids piled around a single screen. They're all watching one person play the game. I honestly believe that this is the growth in esports. If everybody's been following, people are now watching people play games as a show. I think this is actually coming from this culture of this whole generation of kids that just pile around one screen, watch all together, and communicate. But as a designer, what are we doing about this? Are we just letting one person drive? Are we not going to let the other kids engage? Are we going to let them cheer, participate? Super Mario Galaxy actually did a really interesting job with the second player gets to collect the stars and help with bonuses. Are we going to let the audience of participants, the spectators that are around this screen, do something? I've actually conceived a couple times, I was like, well, what happens if in Club Penguin, or actually I was talking to Disney about Pixie Hollow and others, I was like, what happens if the main character drove the avatar, but the secondary character got the keyboard and they got to do a helper, a bug, or something that worked with the main character? Why does it always have to be the one? They're all sitting there, there's 3-4 kids piled around one screen. You need to start designing for more things. There's things for the other kids to do. Sidekicks. Now, this is where I'm going to start a rant. This is a big thing of mine. This is actually why I'm designing Mech Mice. I'm designing everything. I am huge. It's time for the children's digital kids games, whatever you want to call it, industry to grow up. Okay? I am older. I'm probably the oldest of the generation, but if you take out any of the 20 to 30-year-olds that are having kids right now, they're all gamers. They all grew up with cartoons. They all grew up with Super Mario. They all grew up with this stuff. Their kids are now playing games, okay? This is getting into the Pixar idea, the DreamWorks idea, where they design for multiple audiences, the whole family. There's different stories going on for once. The problem I see right now in games, I have not seen many people address this issue, and I'm really trying to work on this one, is can we create games that are for different skills? So, for example, once again, Super Mario again. Super Mario Brothers, the 4-player side-scrolling, jumping and stuff. Excellent! I love it. When my kids are playing with me, if the level's too hard, they can jump into a little bubble. I don't know if anybody's played it. Please go play it. They can jump into a bubble, and they float along with me as I get over the hard part, and then they jump back out of the bubble. I'm like, that is fabulous, because now my kids are playing a game that I love to play. I'm engaged, I'm playing with the whole family, and we're all playing together. And of course, if you want to talk about monetization, you want to talk about discovery, you want to talk about everything, well, if you can get dad or mom to be the fan of the game, they're going to keep spending. Spending a lot more than the kids spend. So that's just Super Mario. We're playing together. I look at things like Gran Turismo and stuff. I look at racing cars. You get all these dads sitting in the basements driving their race cars, flying them down racetracks. And I sit there going, well, why isn't there a slot track mode? So my son can just play with the accelerator on his car, but not actually have to deal with the complexity of steering, shifting, and everything else. Yet we can still race. Like, there could be 2 play styles. I have a big beef with World of Warcraft. Why is it that my level 85 Uber swordsman dude can go into a level 85 dungeon, yet my son, who's level 10, can't join me. And I sit there going, every movie he watches, Frodo goes with Aragorn on the adventure and battles the cave troll. I had a great talk with the designers of some of the Star Wars properties, and I was like, he was like, well, we can't do that. Jedi Padawans can't be fighting in the battles with Jedi Masters. And I'm like, did you even watch your own movies? Luke, from what I understand, and Obi-Wan, they're both doing the same thing. So we as designers have not been designing games that the sidekick can join the master in the gameplay. There's so much depth there that we haven't even experienced. So with Mech Mice, what I'm working on, my goal is building a love that it can be deep and engaging in strategy, yet his 7-8-year-old son can just start clicking and play with him cooperatively. We plan to launch cooperatively play in next year. We're launching this year just the single-player story just to get the kids into it, but you can talk to me about that later. And just sidekicks. I really think there's a humongous opportunity for families to play together. And I'm not talking a game of equal skills, a single game with 2 skill sets in it. So 2 different play patterns. Always connected. Is this always good? This is a very interesting question. So with my new games that I'm working on right now, I'm trying to conceive ideas where, this comes actually from a funny story. Every morning I drive my kids to school. Okay, yes, I'm one of the weird families. Every kid of mine has an iPad, of course. And they all rush out to the van in the morning. There's 3 of them. My daughter's watching her My Little Ponies, and it's all on Netflix. Kids are all, the eldest son's playing Clash of Clans. They're all playing. We start driving away from the house, and of course they all lose connection. All of them. And they haven't figured this out. This has been going on for about a year. And I hear from my daughter, and she's like, where did My Little Ponies go? Who took the ponies? And I just sit there going, man, that must be frustrating to parents where I bought a piece of entertainment to entertain my child while I'm busy doing something, and then of course it demands connection. And, oh, I got a big 3, I got it faster. And there's got to be better ways. There's got to be ways that, almost like a library book, your game signs out, I'm in the offline mode. Keep playing. Don't stop the design. When I connect back in, it reconnects, resyncs. We can solve this. I wish more games would do it. And of course, the greatest thing, of course, is make great games. If we don't make great games, why would anybody? That's just obvious. So that's me. Thank you. I have 2 minutes of questions, and I'm talking. Yes. Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you talk about how kids parents
So the question is I shared that with Club Penguin through its early history that the kids actually push the parents to buy, and the question is can parents go backwards? The parents are now choosing what the kids are going to buy. Yes, and this is where I was sharing like sidekick type style games or play patterns where the whole family's engaged. Once we start maturing as an industry, we're going to start selling films like Pixar and DreamWorks do, where I'll be honest, the kids aren't actually promoting to me what movie to go watch. I'm actually running to the kids going, we need to go watch How to Tame Your Dragon 2, which is coming out next year, I think. I'm really excited about that one. But I'm more of a fan of the property than the kids. So it is, I think, the tipping point's happening where there's a generation of fathers and moms now that are actually more engaged in the animated properties and games than their kids are today. And you're also seeing a large resurgence in things like Smurfs, Trolls, a lot of comeback properties from the 80s. I hope that answered that. I'm out of time, but should I take one more? I'll take one more.
have classes, you know, but do you have it where some of the classes play together in the classroom?
Question is, can you have the class play together? Definitely. Were you here yesterday for the education talk? So, there's always opportunities to consider cooperative play. Actually, some of my experiences at Disney were incredible. Working with the Imagineers, that's a lot of their design. They want to game design specifically for how can you entertain lines of people waiting for rides. It's just this, how they do group play while people are playing or waiting for rides. It was amazing research, and a lot of that's starting to appear at Disney World in different parks you're going to see. And I could see that actually entering schools, classrooms, facilities like that. I got to be done, and we've got lunch soon.